Hello everybody, Maestro here. Welcome to the Khan's Court. Today we are doing two unboxings in one video actually. I am very excited to get into this. I love Dragon Ball, as you guys know, whether it be Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, so on. So I have two Dragon Ball figures that I wanted to go ahead and unbox, get open, and review. We have the S.H.Figuarts Super Saiyan Son Gohan, as you can see here. So this is obviously the Gohan that we know fought Cell in the Cell games. This is the one that has both the Piccolo like purple outfit, but he also has the cape and stuff that he wore with Piccolo when they both showed up to the actual arena. And then we also have the Frieza First Form and Frieza Pod, which I'm very excited about. The first form that we actually see Frieza in Dragon Ball Z during the whole Frieza and Namek saga. I am very, very excited to go ahead and open this sucker up because I have forever wanted Frieza's pod. So this will be very cool to add to my collection. I'm very excited to have this. And I'm very excited to have this Gohan as well. I have Beast Gohan and I have the Ultimate Gohan, I believe. So this will be my third Gohan. So let's go ahead and get straight into these unboxings. Alrighty, first figure we're going to be getting into is the First Form Frieza here and his Frieza Pod. This figure does come out with instructions. Go ahead and take a little look at these. Shows you how to go ahead and put on the different faces, different hands, to put on the tail, and to be able to put him in the pod. It seems that you actually take his torso off and you take his tail off and you put it into the pod, as there is a little base of another body inside the pod already. So it's not like you just stick the whole figure into the pod. You actually have a bottom part of his body already molded into the pod, and you take his torso and put it down on there. I wonder how that will look or affect my ability to put the final form Frieza, or honestly any of the Friezas, into his pod. But that is basically the instructions that they do give us, and it is very good that they gave that to us, so it allows us to know how the pod actually works before we even, fully get to see it. Here is Frieza right here out of the box, first form. He looks absolutely fantastic. A lot of details, as you can see, a lot of different lines in the armor and his skin, things of that nature. He looks absolutely great. I love his horns, his menacing look, the red in his eyes. The coloring is perfect, just as I remember it from watching Dragon Ball Z during the Namek and the Frieza saga. It just ultimately is an amazing figure coming straight out of the box. I mean, it is so clean, sleek, and pristine. Moving back here, just the articulation on the actual shoulder plates and everything else, it's just amazing. I really, really, really enjoy how this figure looks. The tail articulation, the leg articulation, everything so far looks like it is great. Let's actually get fully into the articulation. As you can see here, I already showed you, these go up pretty high. That's the shoulder articulation. You've got the head rotation, goes a full 360. He could tilt up, he could tilt down to look up and down. He can tilt his head kind of side to side, it really depends, in and out. He can move his shoulders all the way to a full 360. You just got to move around the actual shoulder blades there. Well, I should say the shoulder pads, not shoulder blades, although they are shaped very much like blades. He has his bicep swivel, his actual elbow joints there, which move back a decent bit. you know, just a little bit past straight. And then you also have them moving forward. His fists rotate and they move in and out and kind of side to side. Same thing with the other arm. Then you have the actual torso. He doesn't have any form of ab crunch due to how small he is, but he indeed has the ability to kind of lean forward. So he does have that ball joint that allows it to lean forward, lean back, lean side to side, and also rotate a full 360. I believe, if I really try hard, yep. So you can rotate that a full 360. It will pop off though, so you gotta have to kind of watch out for that. But with it being a ball joint, you can rotate it, you can move it into a full 360 if you want to. So those are some pretty good options. His waist also rotates full 360. So if this part is a little too hard to actually rotate, you have this waist right here. As you can see, it's also on a ball joint. So you just pop that back in there and he can fully rotate that waist. He also has his hip rotation right there on his hip joints. You also have kind of the thigh rotation right here. You've got the knee joints, which move forward straight and move all the way back. They are double jointed. And then you also have his feet here, which can rotate a full 360. They can move up a little bit, down all the way, and they can also rotate while they are down. His tail also has some articulation, not right at the base, but it also has it right here a little bit. So that's about all the rotation there is, all the articulation, but it can move up, down. When you rotate it, it can move side to side, and it can fully rotate. Really, really cool at the end of the day. Like I said, this figure has a lot of articulation. So if you're looking for a lot of articulation in a Frieza figure, this one most definitely gives you what you need. Very, very cool. Ultimately, I think he really passes on the articulation deal here. You know what I mean? He really does have the ability to move. So his posability should be amazing versus, you know, a lot of other figures I know, especially if you're looking at other companies, other different types of action figures like Dragon Stars, it is a cheaper option, but their articulation is horrid compared to something like S.H.Figuarts, especially the Dragon Ball figures. They have a lot of articulation. Moving on to some of the actual accessories that Frieza has here. As you guys know, he obviously has the pod with the built-in base piece for his actual body. Then you also have the other head that he has, kind of his screaming head, which you could swap out. He also has 3 other faces there, which you can go ahead and put into his head. A smiling face, kind of a grunting face, and then a laughing face. He has a Dragon Star as well, or a Dragon Ball, I should say, not a Dragon Star. And it looks like it is the 5-star. It is the 5-star Dragon Ball there. So he does come with a 5-star Dragon Ball. He also comes with a scouter that he can wear. He also comes with the little power ball here. As you can see, that's on the box. He's got it down here, which goes onto his actual finger. That is the tiny power ball that grows into an enormous size, which he uses to actually blow up Planet Vegeta. He also comes with additional hands here. He's got 2 other pairs of hands. He's got some pointing hands, and he's also got some grasping hands that you can also have next to his fisted, clenched hands that he has here. Very, very cool. Altogether, you know, between the molding of the figure, the articulation of the figure, the details, all the accessories, I think this figure absolutely excels. I really, really like this. And there's not much else I could possibly want from a first form Frieza. This essentially has everything I could possibly want for this figure, except I would say the giant, you know, power effect. The giant ball effect that he gets with the tiny one. You know what I mean? It would be really cool if they gave us like a gigantic one, but also kind of unrealistic. It would make the figure far more expensive. It would take up a whole lot more space, and it's probably something that you could just add in via like little video effects. You could probably do something like that on CapCut. You could just find some type of PNG of the giant Powerball and just add it into your pictures. So I don't know if it's actually really needed to have any of that, you know, to have that gigantic ball effect, but it would have been cool to have that. But that's the only other thing that I could possibly imagine they could add to this figure to make it better. But like I said, unrealistic. The only other accessory that it has is a little holder for the pod so that the pod actually looks like it's floating or flying. So that's really cool. It's like a little base there. It's clear. So that is another little accessory that you get, more so for the pod than the actual Frieza figure. So that is the first form Frieza. I'm going to go ahead and rate this figure right now out of 10. If I was to rate this figure, I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. There's absolutely nothing wrong with this figure. The only thing I could think about this figure is additives, but additives being missing are not something that I would say would bring down the actual rating. That's just something that you could add on to it to make it a better figure. But all in all, everything that they have given us, I think they completely excelled on. They did a fantastic job. Everything looks really, really good. The accessories look really good. They have great detail. So does the actual figure. So I love this figure very, very much. I am so glad that I bought this figure. We're going to go ahead and move on to the Son Gohan figure now. And boom, here we are. We have the Super Saiyan Son Gohan figure, the fighter who surpassed Goku. Everything looks really, really good. I don't see a single issue with this actual figure looking at him. He's got a couple different tones of yellow. He's got like a darker kind of like brighter tone of yellow inside his hair when you get to the center of the hair, kind of at the root. And then as it kind of stretches out and arches out toward the points, it's kind of a lighter yellow. So I think that's really, really cool. It kind of shows the different surges of power coming out from his Super Saiyan hair. I like that a lot. You also have his actual purple outfit. All the different wrinkles and kind of the different folds inside of his outfit are really, really good. I think all in all, the mold looks great for this figure. Even the face sculpt that he already has on him, I think it looks great. It looks just how I remembered Gohan looking in the show. So with that being said, I think it looks great. Let's move on to the actual articulation of the figure. You've kind of seen me moving the figure around. He can tilt his head side to side. Very good, actually. Almost straight to the shoulder, which is really, really cool. He can look up. He can look down. He can rotate his head a full 360. So that's kind of the neck and head rotation. Then you actually have the shoulder here, which can do a full 360 as well, including this little sleeve here on his arm. Both sleeves do that. They also rotate and they move in and out and back and forth. Then you also have the bicep rotation there. You have his elbows, which move forward a decent bit. It seems that they are single jointed elbows for the most part, or maybe, hold on, I was mistaken. It is double jointed. This joint back here was a little bit tougher than the joint down here, so I couldn't quite tell if it was single or if it was double jointed, but it seems it is double jointed. You just kind of have to press more than I wanted to. I was worried about breaking it or bending the plastic. So he does have double jointed elbows. I was going to say it's kind of weird that he doesn't have double jointed elbows, considering most of the figures for S.H.Figuarts do have the double joints on both the knees and on the elbows. And just to show you, he does have the double jointed knees as well. He has the rotation right there at the wrist. His hands do move in and out, side to side. When you have the actual abs here and the waist, he can rotate. He can rotate a full 360. He does not have ab crunch, but with it being on a ball rotation, he can lean forward and he can lean backward, and he kind of can lead, side to side. And his waistband there kind of helps cover all of that up. It gives him more maneuverability without, kind of showing any gaps in his figure. So I like that the waistband covers that up. They do that a lot for any of the Saiyan figures, to be honest with you, including characters like Goku. So no chest rotation or anything of that nature. No type of, like I said, ab crunch or chest crunch or anything else like that. You have the hip rotation and the hip movement and swivel. You have no form of thigh rotation, which I find to be interesting. As I showed you guys just recently, we had the first form Frieza, who did have the thigh swivel, but it seems that he doesn't really have that too much. He just kind of has that hip swivel all the way up at the top. He does, like I said, have the double jointed knees. He also has the rotation down here at the feet. So you can rotate that a full 360. You can move his feet up just a tiny bit, and you can move them down a decent little bit. You can kind of swivel that side to side a little bit. And his toes also have crunch. So you can kind of move his toes down a little bit, and you can move his toes up. So that is essentially all the articulation that the Son Gohan figure has. Very, very cool nonetheless. I feel like he doesn't have nearly as much articulation as the Frieza figure that we literally just looked at. But to, you know, kind of give the Gohan figure some slack, Frieza also has an additional limb, with it being a tail, and then he also has his armor where the shoulder plates actually bend up. So he does have a little bit more on him when it comes to armor, appendages, things of that nature. So he will have more articulation anyways, but, you know, it just goes to show how much detail they put into the Frieza figure versus some of the other figures that they have. Let's move on to the actual accessories here. He does come with an additional head with the hair kind of swaying in the wind, which I really, really like. It has about the same type of color tone. Like I said, deep kind of yellow in the root of the hair, and then it kind of brightens out and gets a little bit lighter of a yellowish color when it comes out to the tips of the hair. He also has 3 other faces here, kind of an angry, grunting face. He has a more serious face. It looks like a impact face with a couple different like bruisings and stuff of that nature where Cell has beat his face up. And then he also has kind of a normal grimacing face with his eyebrows furrowed. So essentially all of his faces are like yelling faces, or they're just very, very serious faces. And then he comes with a crap ton of hand accessories. He has open hands for ki blast, kind of grasping hands, even more hands, kind of like waving hands. And then he also has other hands that are kind of a little bit more clasped, maybe for grabbing, maybe for ki blast. It really depends on what you want those hands to be used for. Kamehameha hands. They essentially can be used for whatever, but he has multiple different open hands for whatever needs that you have, including the enclosed fist hands that he already has on him. Then we also have, like I told you guys, the shoulder piece there, and then also the cape. It doesn't look like it's a wired cape. It looks like it might be plastic, but let me go ahead and double check. I don't want to say something and then end up being wrong, like I am. It looked like it was plastic within the actual plastic case here, but nope, it turns out that this piece is actually plastic and this piece is cloth. It is a wired cape. I really didn't think it was. It is so pristine and clean. I mean, look at it. You really would have looked at it and been like, no, that's got to be like plastic or rubber, right? There's no way. But yeah, no, this is actually cloth. It's crazy. You can't really tell until you actually feel it and pull it out of the box and see it move. Man, it looks so clean. Like you almost don't even know that it's cloth. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, it is a wired cape, which will make actually posing the figure, taking pictures, stuff like that, 10 times better. I really, really like that. I was going to say, I hope that it's a cloth cape because I know I have the Daima Piccolo, which is like the kid version of Piccolo, and he has the cape, and it is a wired cloth cape. So I would have been a little bit upset, kind of bummed out if he did not have the same thing as well. I'm really glad that he does. I was worried it would be a rubber cape, and I was kind of looking at it like, oh man, I think it's a plastic cape. So there you guys have it. There's his accessories, his clothing, the details, the coloring, all of that different stuff. Very, very cool figure at the end of the day. If I was to go ahead and give this figure a rating, I would definitely give this figure kind of a, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I think a 9 out of 10 is a very good rating. It's still really up there. There is a couple things that I noticed about this figure that is kind of lacking. Like I said, I feel like some of the articulation felt a little bit tough, especially on the elbows, far tougher than like the Frieza that I just pulled out of the box. I felt like some of the articulation you kind of had to push a little bit more. I was kind of worried that I might mess it up or break the figure. And then also, when it comes to his accessories, he just has very serious faces. Granted, I will give you, most of the time, this version of Gohan is a just simply serious character, but also they could have given him like maybe a smirking face or a smiling face, but for the most part all of his faces really don't have anything like that. He doesn't really have a smiling or a smirking face, and I remember watching the actual show, there was a couple times that he did smirk a little bit or he did smile. They could have added little happier faces or whatever else like that. But I feel like a couple of these faces are a little too similar. You know, we have a couple of his faces that are literally just grimacing faces. You've got this one, you've got this one, and then this one down here is a little battle damage, but that's about the only thing that's really different from the other faces. They could have changed it up, add a little bit different faces in there, but all in all, that's about all the issues that I have with it. So yeah, I would rate this figure a 9 out of 10. Still a really, really good rating. I really, really like this figure, and I'm glad I added it to my collection. Now that we have rated and looked at both figures, I'm going to go ahead and move on to some of the pictures that I will be taking with these figures, posing them up by themselves, together, and with other S.H.Figuarts Dragon Ball figures that I own. So let's go ahead and get straight into that. And there you guys have it. There is the fighter who surpassed Goku, and you also have the first form of Frieza with the Frieza pod that he flies around in the Frieza saga. Very, very excited to have those two figures in my collection. I love collecting the S.H.Figuarts figures. I only have one Marvel figure from them, but I have a crap ton of the Dragon Ball figures. Not as much as some other people, but I've got a decent amount, you know, compared to the normal collector or the normal person. So I am very, very proud of my collection, and I'm very proud to add 2 new figures to that collection as well. So with that being said, guys, I hope you all enjoyed my unboxing and my review of these figures. I hope you enjoyed my rating of these figures and you think it's very justified. Like I said, one being a 10, one being a 9. One I could have expected a little more from, and the other one I think that did exceedingly well and gave us a little bit more than they really needed to. So if you guys enjoyed all of that, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all thought about this. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.